Caroline, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I appreciate it's 7 o'clock. I said we get started at 7. I'm going to give it just 2 more minutes just to let the remaining people come into the room before we start. By the way, just so you all know, I'm a little bit nervous now. I was only expecting 1 or 2 people. The fact that nearly 25 people have registered made me panic. Got to get some content together for you all guys now. I hope that it's informative, and I hope that I don't teach anyone to suck eggs, so to speak. I'm going to start at the very beginning, just so you've got an idea. I'll talk you through things that you may already know, things you may not, but these are just things that I do, and things that work for me in my business and my clients and their businesses, and also some competitors I work with. So the things I'm going to give you, if it works for you, fantastic, use it. If it doesn't, then ignore it. Not everything's going to work for you, but I hope that over the next 90 minutes, I can give you some great information. And also, I really look forward to you giving me some feedback, because as I mentioned before in the WordPress Facebook group, this is going to become a live event, and I'm going to be teaching this to people. So your feedback tonight is going to be greatly appreciated, because it's going to help me to model the content that I deliver and the way that I deliver it, so that people can, one, understand it, and two, that they can use it moving forward. So if anything goes over your head, please put a question out there. I'm not going to be able to go through the questions as they come in, but I will stop. We'll have breaks, and I'll go through and I'll answer any questions. And again, I really appreciate you all taking the time to be here tonight. There's a couple of you that have joined, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to attempt to pronounce your names. I think there's Shalish. I forgot that wrong. I really am sorry. I apologise. But welcome, Vanessa. Welcome, Nicole. Welcome. Great to see you here. Okay. So if anyone else comes in, they're going to join in late, but I'm going to get started. So the purpose of this webinar. I've been developing websites now for several years, and I've probably made every mistake there is out there to make. Everything that you could possibly imagine doing wrong, I've done, sometimes more than once. The reason for me being here now is because what I believe is created a system that works. It allows me to create websites very quickly, very effectively. And for anybody that does know me, I'm quite I've got a bit of an OCD, and I'm quite anal about websites, about performance, about clean code, and about how websites are built. So this really is trying to adapt the best of both worlds, to have a website that is structurally is sound for the likes of Google, for SEO search engines, but also for installing things like plugins. You don't want your site to break. Sites are really good on performance. They work quickly, they're secure, but also they're easy to use. You know, WordPress has got a really difficult onboarding process, and if you've never used WordPress before and you're looking at it for the first time, you might have that whole, oh my God, what's this? So we try and strip that out and make it easier. So some things, obviously, I appreciate you may use, some things you may not. Like I say, I'm going to go through what I use and what works for me. So the first thing I do when I develop a website is I use a system called MAMP. Now, I use MAMP because I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, you'll use WAMP. You don't have to use this, but what this does is this emulates, or it creates a server environment. So instead of being on a host and then uploading your files to a host all the time, can be a bit annoying. You basically create a server on your computer. And I've done that using this program here called MAMP. So we've installed MAMP, and you get a little icon here, and then you can open up a start page, and you basically get what you saw, which is the welcome page here. From here, if I click on Tools, I can go to PHPMyAdmin, and this allows me to create a database. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because when we create a WordPress site, it works on two main things. You've got the files and the folders, which you may have heard FTP, that word used before. So you have the files and the folders and the templates, and then you have the database. So WordPress, when you have a theme in WordPress, there aren't actual physical pages as such. There's just blank pages or templates, the page structure. And then what that page does is it pulls the information, the content from the database. So you need them both to work together. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a database. So we'll click on database, and for here I'm going to call this test, just for tonight. I'm not, because it already exists, so we're going to call this WordPress, and hope that, there we go. So we've just created WordPress as a new database. That's it. That's all we need to do on the part of MAMP. Now, because I said there's two parts, there's a database that's now created. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the FTP, or this is actually just a folder on my computer, and we're going to install the latest version of WordPress. So we've downloaded the latest version of WordPress and it's now installed. I can now come up to my browser, type in a localhost, and it will give me a list of all the websites that I can work on. We've just installed WordPress, so we're going to open WordPress, and this is now how we will create a new website. So if you imagine you've got your domain name, www.website.com, or whatever it's called, this is the equivalent of that, but it's on your machine. So we'll go through this process now. I'll install WordPress just for those that haven't seen it before, don't know how it's done, and then we'll go through and I'll go back to the basics and just cover that. So the first we need to do, create a configuration file, start at the beginning, and it tells us we need some information. We're going to go, and it's telling us now what is our database name. This is what we just created on that last screen. We called it WordPress. We were going to call it test, we couldn't. We called it WordPress. So we put in WordPress as a database name. The username and password for MAMP is always root. Now you will specify this on your host, but for now, for the purpose of this, we're just going to have root. Database host is always localhost, or in most cases, and the table prefix is always WP_. We'll look at changing that later for security, but for now, that's all we need to start. So we have our database, username and password. If we click submit, what this is doing now, it's saying congratulations, you've connected the files in the folder that we've just installed in WordPress. We've now connected that to the database. So they're talking to each other, and this is saying, well done mate, you've done it, it's working. Run the install. So now we get the opportunity to create the site. So site title, just WordPress test, username and password. We'll do that. Our email address, I'm just going to chuck that in. I normally take it off here, so this is privacy, so allow search engines to index a site. When I'm building a site, I don't want it indexed. I want it indexed later, but not in the initial instance. So I normally do that just to create the site. And it's done, so we can now log in. We'll log into the site, and as we can see here, we've now got localhost WordPress, and we're logged in. Here is our site. Bear with me, let me just get rid of LastPass. And what I'm going to do, first and foremost, is I'm going to right click and open up in a new tab so that we can see our site. There we go. So we've now got WordPress and we've got it on a local host. If you don't want it on a local host, you can put it directly on your server, but I always recommend we do it this way. It's easier to build. So going back now, and I appreciate this is WordPress related, there are 3 things that we need to build a website. And again, if I'm teaching it at suck eggs, I really do appreciate, we'll get into the meat and the guts in a minute. I just want to make sure we help everyone here. The 3 things that we need to build a website is a domain name, your www.whatever-it-is.com. You need your hosting and you need your website. And the hosting or your server space, that's what we're emulating here and creating here. So once we've got these 3 things, we can then put it all online. And just to let you know, I reckon this is going to take about 90 minutes, so that's the time frame I'm working on here. So now we've got WordPress and it's installed, but for anyone that doesn't know it, you look at this and it's a bit, where do we go, what do we do? Well, there's a few core things we need to do to start. So the first things we need to do, or what I would recommend, is we click on pages. So first and foremost, click on pages. The reason that we do this is because it's populated with a sample page, but we want to create a new page. I'll always create 2 new pages, the first of which will always be home, and we're just going to publish that. The second of which will be blog, because WordPress, being a blogging platform, a lot of people will have blogs. So another one that people will normally tend to create is about us or contact us. We can do that later. For now, for the purpose of this, we want these 2 pages. The next thing we're going to do once we have these pages is come down to settings. If we go to the general settings, we can see here, normally the tagline, we'll want to remove that. You're not going to want just another WordPress site. If you've got a slogan or a tagline, you put it in there. Site title, which we've called for this. Whatever we're going to call it. We don't normally need to change things here. Some of you may, depends on your time zone and things. Save the changes. The next screen we need is reading. So click on reading. This is why we created the pages first. If you want to have it as a blog article, so the latest blog posts launch first, which is here, this is what's happening. As you can see on our site, we've got our menu, we've got our blog posts. What we want to have is a static page, and we're going to have the front page as a home and the post page as a blog. And we're going to do that because that gives us more flexibility over creating a site. As you can see here, this is where we discourage the search engines. When we get to a point where we turn this on, we'll just untick that box later. Next thing we need to do is click on permalinks. And what I tend to do is click post name. You may want to do something else, but by default, you get this weird name. As you can see here, if we, well, not on here, but on a page, it'll be query page equals and a number. This gives it actually the title name of the post to the post name. It's a lot more user friendly. So we're going to save that. So that is the basics covered. We've set WordPress up now and we have it. If we now go back and refresh, this won't be a post anymore. It's now the home page. One more thing I've just remembered. If we go to discussion, just while I remember, I tend to want to do this. Not everyone does, but I tend to untick these 2 boxes. So you're not going to want on every page someone to be able to comment. So I turn this off here as standard, and then you can change it on the page. So we'll save that. Now, because we have some pages, I'm going to go into these pages. We're going to bulk edit these pages. So bulk edit them all together. And we're going to say comment, do not allow. By changing that and updating, it's going to update all the pages so that we won't allow comments. If we now refresh this page, you can see now we have our menu, our home, and that's all there. So, for the purpose of tonight, to show you my system, now we've got the core of WordPress in, we can start getting into the meat and guts of things. Because we're using MAMP, what I'm going to do is use a folder here, as you can see, WordPress. I'm not going to go into the obvious things, you can look at those in your own time, but we're going to go into WP content for the structure, and we're going to go into themes. We've got 3 themes that are pre-installed with WordPress. If we go into appearance themes, If we go into appearance themes, you'll see these here. Now I don't want to use them, so I'm going to remove them. That's it, done. You can see how much quicker it is to work in a local host, so we're not messing about. Now I've got some themes. I want to open this in a new tab. The theme that I'm going to use for the purpose of tonight is a theme called X Package. Let me just move this out here. So I'm going to drag that in. Okay. Now that we've got the X package in, and this is available on ThemeForest. If you go to ThemeForest and type in the X theme, this is here. So now we have this new theme. We've installed the theme, so if we go back now and reload the site, it's going to look a lot different now it has a new theme. And the reason that I like this theme so much is because of the way it works. It tells us we need to install some plugins, so we're going to begin to install them, and it's going to let us install a group of plugins from the repository. So we're going to do that now. Once they're installed, we're going to activate them. It'll take a couple of minutes. And once they're installed, we're then going to activate them. At this stage, before I get too far in, I just want to ask, has anyone got any questions so far? I'm just going to pause for 2 minutes and see if anyone's got anything I can answer. And also to welcome the new people. Welcome, if you've just joined us. Okay, can I get a raise of hands that everyone can hear me okay still? Perfect, thank you very much. Brilliant, Vanessa. Thank you very much. Brilliant, guys. Thanks. Okay, well, in that case, there's no questions at the moment. If they're bottlenecks, I'm sorry. Maybe there just aren't any in that case. Diane, yes, I am recording this. I did remember to record it this time. So it will be recorded, and I will, once it's done, I will post the link into the group so you can all have it. Like I said, I'm not selling anything. There's nothing off the back of this. I don't want you to join anything. This is purely me testing out some content and you hopefully giving me some feedback, and I can give you some tips along the way. Because this is what I do for my clients. I can have a website live within 20 minutes. And I'm not talking about a rubbish website. I'm talking about clients are paying me somewhere between £600 and £1,200 for a website. That is something which I've created. They're not paying for my time. They're not paying for me to take a month to build that website for them. They're paying because I've spent the last 3 years making all my mistakes. Diane, you're welcome. I know this is going to be a lot to take in, and I have a tendency to waffle, so bear with me and you will be able to go back through it. Okay, so the plugins are installed now. We're going to go into the plugins here. So we click on plugins and make sure they're activated. So now, bulk activate. Well, let's just get rid of Hello Dolly. We don't want that. Appreciate Matt's sense of humour. And anyone sees Dolly Parton, you might have seen her at Glastonbury a while ago. So these are all now activated, apart from a Kismet, but we'll do that later. So there are a few more plugins that I want to use, and I'm going to put these in now straight away. Then I'm going to go through the framework of this theme and on WordPress, and then we're going to customize it. That's where we get into the fun. So we've got the theme in themes. That's done. That's all we need. We can look at creating child themes. I'll look at that with you later. So you should never create a normal theme. You should always create what's called a child theme. I'm not going to go through it with the purpose of the X theme because it's quite complicated and I don't want to complicate anyone with that. But what we would normally do here for the purpose of this is we would create a new theme, call it whatever we want, framework, whatever, anything, but this would be called a child theme. We would then use a program, Notepad or Coda or anything like that, which is a HTML editor. Whether you're on a PC or a Mac, you can look into that. I use what's called Coda 2. I'm going to launch it now. This is a HTML editor. What we would do here, and I'm just going to go into, so I'm on the server here. You can see WordPress, WP Content, Themes. So we're here. This is the directory within the Mac. This is within the HTML editor. I would go into the child theme and I would create a new file. And I will call that style.css. I will create another file which will be called screenshot. I'm just going to create this now for you. .png, screenshot.png. These are the two files that you need to create a child theme. That's it. If you go to WordPress child theme, you Google it here, codex.wordpress.org/child themes, it tells you exactly what you need to do. So this is the information you can see here that you need to create your own theme. And then you need what's called an import URL here. But instead of 2014, in our instance, this would actually be called, let's try it. I love trying things live and not working. Let's have a go. So this is what we do. I'm going to call this framework. I'm going to leave everything else for the purpose of time. The template is called X and the style sheet is called X. So that's where it will pick it up from. I did this before, it didn't work, and I don't want to, for the purpose of the video, mess about. But if I go back now to Appearance Themes, can you now see this is the framework that we just created? Can you see? And if I click on Theme Details, all of this information here is the information that we've put in here. See, John Doe, for example, John Doe, blah, blah, blah. Now, what should happen, in theory, and obviously the screenshot PNG would be this image here, by the way, but it's broken because we haven't put a screenshot PNG in. What should happen now when I refresh this is this should be a style of, see, this should now be replicating the X theme. Because with the X theme, it's a little bit more complicated than that. There's some more steps we need to take, which I will talk through later for anyone that needs to know. That is what you would normally do to create a child theme. With the X, it's slightly different, but I just wanted you to know. That's why it looks broken. So now we're back to where we was. We're using the original theme. There's a few plugins that I mentioned that I use on every one of my websites. This is, as you can see here, I'm going to come back from themes. I'm now going to go into the plugin folder. These are the plugins that we've installed as part of the theme, the ones that it told us to install. And there's also a few others that I like to use. So what I'm going to do now is go into my plugin folder, and these are all the plugins that I've bought over time. There's a few different systems here that I've bought, a few things that I use, but these are what are called my must-haves. Every time I build a website, these are automatically what I do. I unzip them here. Now some of them are already installed, some of them aren't. And I copy these across. Now, just quickly, I'm going to very, very briefly go through these. Akismet is already installed. Back WP Up. This is a free plugin to back up and to set weekly and monthly backups on your website. So depending on how often you blog, I would have a monthly backup of your FTP, the whole site, and a weekly backup of your database. You can back that up within here. We'll do that later. Better WP Security, better known now for iThemes. It's called iThemes Security. I have this on the site. This is to harden the site, better security. Google Analyticator from a good friend of mine, Troy Dean. He created two plugins. Both of them are in here. White Label CMS and Google Analyticator. This will link us into Google Analytics, and this one will let us strip out the back end. So if a client's using the website, it makes it a lot easier, the onboarding process for them. W3 Total Cache, just to give it a little kick, make the site a bit quicker. JS Composer, which is already installed. This is Visual Composer, for those that don't know. Visual Composer is something that I would highly recommend. Don't just buy it for the sake of buying it, because it's not compatible with every theme. It's compatible with the X theme, and they've built out on it, so it's not standard. But this is an amazing plugin. I absolutely worship what they've done with this plugin and how they're creating it. And we'll go through that again in a minute. Gmetrics, this is just a way to test. Again, I told you I was a little bit anal about performance and site security. So this is just a way to look at ways you can improve your site. Most of the times that's getting off of GoDaddy and HostGator and getting onto a more reliable host. But for the sake of this, you can look at things that you can do to improve it. Just created a company called Yoast. And off the back of that, he's one of the most respected SEO experts in the world. He's currently here in London. I'm in Waterloo. He's around the corner at the moment. I don't know him. I'm not like, oh, he's my mate, but he's working with The Guardian at the moment. So he's very, very sought after in what he does. Created a program called SEO by Yoast, and this is that plugin. So I'd highly recommend that you have that. WP Smush It. This is just a way to compress images. It works in with Total Cache and also with GTmetrix to make your site quicker. So we're just going to dump them in. We'll replace anything that needs replacing, and that's it. It's done. You can go to the plugins now on the site, and I can now get rid of this, and you can see all of our plugins are now here. Now, when I activate these plugins, the left-hand menu, all of a sudden, it's going to fill up. There's going to be a lot of new things in here. So I wanted to get to this stage so that I can show you before we start building out the site. Okay, don't have tracking, and obviously blah, 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 lots of things to do. We don't want to worry about SEO at the moment. Don't bug me. Everything's done. Keys that we have to do, we know about that. So what we now have is what I call my core framework. Okay. What I would be tempted to do now is we're going to install one more plugin. This plugin is called Duplicator. Oh, excuse me. Let me just refresh this page. Okay. So I want to add a new plugin. This plugin is called Duplicator. What this allows you to do, and this is what you would do from a local host. Some people don't use this. Some people use Backup Buddy. Some people use WP Clone. Whatever works for you. I'm just telling you what I use. I've used everything, what I consider to be everything, and this is what I'm most comfortable with. So I use WP Up for the backups, and I use Duplicator to clone the site. So I've activated the plugin, and what we'll do at this instance here, now we've got this core framework and it's in place, is I would go to Duplicator. Again, this is a system that I'm creating to hopefully give you more time. If you only create one site, you might not need this, but if you create sites for many clients, this is something you might want to do. We'll click next. It will scan the site. It will tell us everything's okay. And we'll build the site. What this is now doing for us is it's taking all the FTP, it's taking all the database, and it's combining it into 2 files. And those 2 files, very, very simply, are your site as it is. Okay? What we would then do, if I go back to my server, you can see here I've got a zip file here called website core. So it's a little bit more detailed with this with customization, but this is the basic principle. The 2 files, installer and archive, if I click on them, it gives them to me here. I can then drag that onto my desktop, both of them. Appreciate if it's not the first installer, you may have to take away the brackets and the space so that it is just installer.php. I would then combine these 2 into a zip file, which is what I have here, website core. Okay. What I would then do, let's say for example, I'm going to go to new WordPress. So I want to create a new site, call it new WordPress. Okay. I would unzip this. In fact, I would unzip this and I would call this new WordPress. I don't need to create a folder, I do it there. If I then come back to localhost, again, I know I'm going quite quick, I apologize. If I now come to new WordPress that we've just created, it shows us those 2 files. Remember, installer PHP and the zip. If I click on installer now, this is going to ask us to create a new, so we would create a new database. So do you remember before when we said in MAMP, open start page? Now this would be live on our server now. So for the purpose of time, I'm not going to, but if you imagine you're on your server and we're going to call this new WordPress. So actually on your domain name, on your host, you will have your details. We would put that in here. So our host is going to be localhost. Our name is new WordPress, and we know that root is our password. Test the connection. It's found a database and it's connected successfully. So we're now going to accept that and run a deployment. So this wouldn't be on a local host, this would be on a live site. And what we're basically doing now is we are creating our site here, which is WordPress, and we're loading it here onto a new site. If we want to give it a new title, new WordPress website, and we can also give a new admin account. This is where the clever part is. It does a find and replace. The old site was localhost framework from where we was, from this one. The new one is going to be localhost new WordPress. So from when I created this originally, it's going to replace it and it's going to rename everything. So when I now run the update, I'll have an installation report. The first thing we'll do is save the permalinks by logging in, and then we'll delete the installation files. And what we've basically done is we've just taken our website, and as you can see, it's a little bit more customized now. We've taken what would be this initial website and we've cloned it. The purpose of me showing you this is because what we would do is in localhost, we would build out our website how we want it to look, but we're not going to affect the live site. If you've already got a live site out there, that will stay there. Or if you haven't got a live site, then it's a lot quicker to build it this way, and once you're ready, then you just upload it. So now we're going to update the permalinks, and it's going to tell us here to remove the duplicator files. But basically, the whole purpose of me showing you this, I'm going to close that down now, is because now, under new WordPress, as you can see, here's what I made earlier, just to give you an idea. And it's already got the menu that's set up, it's all built out, and as you can see, it's got a MailChimp, which is logged into MailChimp. You know, if I actually do submit this, it will go through. There we go. So just to give you an idea, you know, and also they're fully responsive. I mean, it's a given these days, they have to be, but you know, the sites are built out in such a way that it works like this. So Hopefully now, if you're using multiple sites, you've got an idea how easy it is to clone sites and build out new sites. Okay, let's go back all the way back to our site and let's look at how we can customize and build this out. Before I do that, is everyone okay? Can I just get a show of hands? Everyone's still alive? Has anyone got any questions? Welcome to the people that are joining. Can see the new people that are coming in. Great, thank you very much. Thanks for the show of hands, everyone. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Caroline, can you only clone your own sites? Caroline, this is a great question. So one of the things that I do at the moment, and you may have seen it if you follow me on Facebook, is I've got my own server, my own platform, and I know that I can offer a really good service to people. So I tell people if they're on a WordPress website, if they give me an admin login, I go into their website and I can clone their website and I can mimic it on my server in about 5 minutes. And that gives me the opportunity to then speed test and say, here's your server at the moment with what you're doing and here's what I can do. It's not just your own site. If you can get into a WordPress website, depending on the server, the host, some people are funny and some I think Bluehost used to have a problem and some other hosts, servers may have a problem. But if you've got an admin account in WordPress and you can get access to that and install the plugin, then you can put in Duplicator, you can clone it, you can take anyone's site. Whenever I log in to a client's website, the very, very first thing that I do someone might turn around to me and say, can you change the color of the font? I am not touching a website unless I've been in and backed it up. That is the first thing I do with any client. And if I can't use a plugin like BackWP Up or I can't access their cPanel, then I'll use Duplicator. It's a great way to just take a snapshot. You've got the site, it's backed up. That way, if anything goes wrong, you can remove the directory and you can literally, as you've seen, just put it back in and you're in, and that's it. So, it's the same here. Yeah, exactly, Leslie. Absolutely right. Before you even touch a client or your own site, for that matter of fact, I cannot tell you how many people have come to me and said, oh, I just updated a plugin. I didn't think it would be a problem. Don't take the risk. Make sure your site's backed up before you even make a change. So you can clone any site. Okay, great. So you're welcome, not a problem. I'm going to crack on because obviously we've got an hour left and I want to get as much in as I can. And hopefully you're enjoying and this is okay for everyone. So WordPress, it's split into two main areas. You've got posts and you've got pages. If something is static and it's staying around and it's going to be there, then I would suggest you create a page. If something is maybe a blog article, a news feed, or something quick, do a post. And everything can be added from there. So you may have an events thing, you may have different plugins that you use, but they will basically be using either the post or the page template. And the other thing that we can do is we can use what's called custom posts. So there's two plugins. I won't install them now because this is more advanced, but I'll just tell you now. There's custom scripts. My mind's gone blank. I've forgotten. Bear with me a sec. There's I think it's advanced custom scripts. Custom scripts UI. Oh, look, my mind's gone blank. Sorry, bear with me a second. I've forgotten what they're called. Let me look. I've got them here. So, custom post type. Sorry, there's two plugins. Custom post type UI, and these are free, so you can get them from the repository. Custom post type UI, and then there's another one which is advanced custom fields. Advanced custom fields. So, custom post type UI. As you can see, 4.5 star based on 218 ratings. It's a good plugin. And the other one is advanced custom fields. What this would allow you to do is create new menus on the left-hand side. So you might want events, testimonials, whatever you want. You can create new ones of these. You don't have to touch any code. You don't have to go into function PHP. It's a very, very good plugin just to be able to add your own personal. In fact, you know what? I'm going to install it. Why not? We're here. To be able to create your own custom scripts. And then from that, there's a range of things you can do. I mean, we can get really, really in depth with that. I'm not going to go into it now because I don't want to, confuse you and to bore you. but that's something that we can do. We can download these plugins and we can play with that later. When you install a theme or a plugin, you'll normally see here, it will do it itself. It will create new custom scripts for you. And depending on the theme, it may already have those options. So what we're going to do now, the first thing we're going to look at is how we can customize the layout and look of this site. And the first thing we're going to do is assign a menu. Very, very simple, put a menu in. So appearance, site's just frozen up a little bit now. Appearance, menus. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this one main menu. And once we've created our main menu, we're just going to add in our home, our blog, and our sample page. We're going to add these across. We'll put them in the right order that we want them. And we're going to assign it, because we need to assign it to the primary menu. So we can now create another one called footer menu. We can do one for individual pages. Lots of things we can do. What that will now do is when we refresh this page, we'll have our menu here, and it will have a link to those pages, home, blog, sample. Brilliant. So we can see that's how that works. Right, once we've got our menu in place, we need to start customizing the look of the site. Now, every theme is different, and I obviously can't go through every theme. I can only go through the X theme. And the reason that I love it and the reason why I use it as standard is because it's got a thing called Customizer. So on a lot of themes, you'll probably see a thing here called theme options or admin or option panel. There's something where you go in and you can edit all the different elements of a site. You may know that. Here it's called Customizer. The reason that this is different to most themes is this isn't an addition to WordPress. This takes over WordPress. This is using the native WordPress elements. So what you are doing here, WordPress, since version 3 point whatever, I don't even know where it come in, but it's got a live editor here so that when we start to edit things, and there's normally a couple of things here, we can see it in real time. Well, this has taken over and it's basically just put steroids onto the customizer to allow you to edit your admin panel in real time. So the first thing we're going to do in Xtheme is look at what stack we want. Stack is a better word for profile or theme. It's a theme within a theme. It's the layout of how you want your site to look. For example, if I choose ethos and wait a few seconds, you can see it's different. If I choose icon, wait a second, you can see it's different. Different buttons, different style. So there's four main packages that ship with this. You can also create your own. But for the purpose of this, we're going to use Integrity. And depending on which one you use, depends on what you get next. So if I use Ethos, I have different options to if I use Integrity. So now we have our stack. We click on Integrity. Do we want this to be boxed or do we want it to be full width? We can have it in a boxed element. And obviously we can collapse this to see what it looks like. Maybe we don't want it that big. Maybe we want it a smaller site. Maybe we want it a bigger site. You know, we can choose. We are in complete control here of what we want our site to look like. Now I'm going to go for a full width option. There we go. So we can see now what we have. We can come down and choose the content width side. We want a light design, a dark design, and these are just standard template options that are there. So already, before we've even been playing with a site, we've got a lot of options. And a lot of things that we can do. We can change the background color, we can have a pattern, an image, we can fade it. There's this, as you can see, so many options on the home page, on a normal page. If we go to a blog, so say we go to the blog page, as you can see, we've got a blog title here and we've got a blog subtitle. We can take that out if we don't want that, remove it. It will simply remove it and we'll just have the blog. Do the same with portfolio. If we use the portfolio, same thing. So some styling options there within the Xtheme that we can play with. Typography, I'm not going to go through it, but we get the idea. Custom fonts, great to be able to go in and use this. We can choose what the font is we want. We can choose what type of font, the color of the font, the size of the font, all the different things that we can do. You get the option. We can play with that. Buttons, the look, the layout of the buttons with a flat design, 3D. Again, stuff to play with there. Come to the header. Do we want a static top or do we want a fixed top? So a static top, so it's like that, or a fixed top, so it's always on top. We can change the layout how we want it. Do we want the logo to be stacked, or do we want it to be in line? Maybe we want it to look like this. You can choose however you want the site to be. Height, things like that, logo. You start to get the idea of what you can do here. Header widget area, 1 widget, 2 widgets, blah, 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 blah. Top bar, do we want a top bar? Do we want any content in the top bar? So this top bar here, we put some content in it. Maybe we don't want it, get rid of it altogether. We have the option. Breadcrumbs, do we want breadcrumbs or do we not want breadcrumbs? Again. And there's also a cool little drop down here for an extra little thing that we can create. So, lots and lots to do with this theme. Now, again, the reason I like this is because if you go into something like ThemeForest, you'll be able to see there's a lot of things called multi-purpose themes. And in essence, this is a multi-purpose theme. The challenge with multi-purpose themes, not all of them, but in general, is they give you so much, it bloats out your site. You end up with so much stuff you don't want, and you end up clogging up the site, slow load times, broken links, things don't work properly. It becomes a bit of a nightmare. So this is, for all intents and purposes, the best one that I've found so far, and I've used a lot. I mean, there's the 7 theme, there's Builder, there's Flatsum. There's so many great themes out there that I use, but this is just generically the best one. Now, depending on the budget of you and your client, you may want a bespoke theme from scratch. A lot of my sites I build bespoke themes, but this is the best way to get started if you've got no or limited knowledge or a small to medium budget. This is the best way to get started. Okay, I found that I can sit there and I can be really anally retentive over the code itself and how it looks and making sure everything's perfect. But a good example is a good friend of mine. His name's Simon Coulson. He's got an internet marketing school, and we were doing the same things. And I was looking at his websites and I was saying, "Oh, your website's rubbish. Oh, that code's rubbish. Oh, there's problems there. Oh, there's errors there." The guy's worth over £10 million. I'm not. So, as much as I can sit there and say, this has got to be perfect, this has got to be great, sometimes just getting out there is better. I think there's a saying, I can't remember the exact saying, but what is it? Perfect. What is it? It's a perfect action is better than, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So it's better to do something and it not be perfect than not do something at all. You could spend a lifetime trying to perfect something and not launch it. Just get it out there. It's got to be good, but you can work on great. Just get it out there. So go through this, style it how you want it, get it out there. I like the masonry style on a blog. Again, we can go through, check all the different things, lay out how it needs to be laid out. Lots of different options to play with. So going back up to the site now, we've gone through that. We've gone through these elements and also custom. So if we want to add any custom CSS, we can do that there. Once we're happy and the site's how we want it, we can save the site. We've now gone through the basic customizations and changing all the colors and different things. Is everybody happy so far? Duplicated doesn't work every time for every theme. Yeah, I appreciate that. It depends on the theme. It also depends on the host. Duplicator is not the answer to everything. Sometimes back WP up. I use Backup Buddy. It depends. It works for me when I build a site, but then normally I build a site from scratch, so it always works on my themes. I can't comment every time. There's always going to be an anomaly somewhere along the line. If it doesn't, then you have to find a solution. But the support is really good, and I've also found that if you go with a premium plugin, the support's really good. You go with a free plugin, maybe it's not, but it is a free plugin, and it does work most of the time. So you just have to work with what's there. Is Ethos new? I have X and only have 3 options. Yes, I believe they've just launched Ethos 2. It is a new option. If you've got the theme, Caroline, then I would always recommend going back onto ThemeForest and downloading the latest version and updating it. Back up the site first, but then make sure you update it. And Ethos is a new one. Brilliant. So if there's no other questions, just one more check-in. Can you all hear me? Are you all still awake? Has anyone lost the will to live? Just place your hands up so I can see you're still here. I get scared if I'm talking to myself. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay. And is everyone enjoying it? Is it good so far? You getting value? Brilliant. Thanks. Pedro, welcome. Great. Okay, so I'll carry on. Bear with me 1 second. Anita, if you go out, maybe ask them to turn the aircon down. The penguins are quite happy in the corner, but I can see you're a bit cold. Okay, so back to business. We're going to close this down now. For all intensive purposes, we've done our customizations that we're going to do. Now we can get into the fun. Let's make a website. I'm going to go to the home page, and if I come back here, we can see here we've got a home page. Now, we don't want a sidebar on a home page. We want the home page. So what we have here is our page, our layout of our page. Let's just get rid of that for a sec. And what we're going to do, so we've got a title, okay? What we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down and we've got templates. Now, X ships with a lot of templates, and you can also create your own. We have header and footer, header, no header and footer, no header, no footer. That's what it says on the tin. We have a group of 4, so we have container or no container. We then have content left side by right, side by left content right. For example, if I update now on the home page, so sidebars left, you haven't got to be a rocket science to understand that that is now going to move from here over to here. So you can, again, further customize the layout of the site. You might want full width. You may want a sidebar at all. In that instance, you can simply remove the sidebar and have it full width. Now with full width here, there's still some padding. So there's still some padding in the container, both in the outer and here. So there's a margin and there's padding. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 2 different options. We're going to look at header footer in a container. So header is basically the top bit here and footer the bottom bit here. Again, sorry teaching you to suck eggs, but to remove them would be great if we had maybe a landing page or something. So again, we can see this here. Now, by having it in a container here or having it in no container, let's say no container now to see the difference. So can we see how we've got the padding there and the gap? If we now update this, that will be flush and it will be against the entire width of the site. There we go, so it's full width. So this is what I tend to use on certain pages if you want a full width design, and then I add in the padding later myself. So I'm going to go back, and because it's a home page, that's fine, header, footer. If you were to create a landing page, you could say no header and footer, and you would have a completely blank page. You can start, you don't need lead pages, you don't need optimized press, you can build them out yourself. You've got a lot more freedom and a lot more functionality to do that. And again, you're really not limited to what you can do. So now we've got that. Featured image, if you want to do a featured image, you can do that. Coming up here, everyone knows this, that what you see is what you get. I can't spell garbage, so crap in, crap out. Whatever we want to type, blah, 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 that will then be, it will be outputted here, okay? Now, we don't want to use that because that's a really clunky, boring way. Some people go into Word and then they edit it here and you can't lay it out and you haven't really got a lot of structure. You haven't really got a lot of say over the site. But if you remember back to JS Composer or Visual Composer that I spoke about, and again, this doesn't work with everything. If we click on Backend Editor, you see how that's changed? From the what you see is what you get. Now it's changed and it's called Visual Composer. Now, I'm in talks with a developer at the moment because there is classic mode or what's called Backend Editor, and there should also be what's called Front-End Editor. You can actually edit the site live, so I can come in here and start dragging elements around live. The X theme at the moment doesn't let you do that. It's been customized for this theme and it's slightly different to normal. So if you went onto Code Canyon and you downloaded Visual Composer and put it into your theme, it may look slightly different to this. I'm going to show you, I'm going to quickly log into my site because I want to give you both sides so that you can see both sides of it. Now, if I just quickly go into a new page before this all launches. Okay, so create a new page. Okay, so now we can see we've got a different type of Visual Composer. What's going on here? Oh, here it is, sorry. So let's just get rid of that. So this is actually an old version. I'll probably not show you on the right one. When you update the plugin, you'll have two options. As you can see here, I just want to show you this quickly. You see all these little images and how it looks? This is how Visual Composer will normally look, okay? Like this. If I come back here to our site we're building, and I'll go through this in detail in a minute, but can you see the difference between this and the images and how it looks and this? So I wouldn't want you to add it onto your theme and go, oh, why doesn't it look like this? That's what it would normally look like on a normal theme when you just installed it. Let's just get rid of that for now. This is what it looks like on the X theme because they've customized it and they've made it, they've customized it to this. And they've added some new things that you wouldn't normally get. So there's a lot of really cool things here. As you add plugins, they become available. We added Contact Form 7, it's there. So as we start to add things, they become available. Now, let's go back, rewind all the way to the beginning. Visual Composer. So back-end editor. Again, it will have front-end editor when they've ironed out the bugs, but it's a work in progress. We can add an element, add a row, or we can save and load a template. So once you've created a site, if you've got like a landing page or something, you can style it all out how you want it and then save it and use it again. Makes life a lot easier. This uses what's called Twitter Bootstrap, or that sort of, it's using a container style method. So, well, first thing we'll do is add a row. As you can see here, we have a row. We can now choose with that row, and I'm going to add 2, how many columns we want to split that into. Maybe we want 2 columns. Maybe we want 6 columns. Maybe we want 3 columns. However we want it. Maybe we want to have a main feature and a small sidebar. Maybe we want to have it even. However we choose to do it, this is how we'll lay it out. Maybe underneath we want 3 boxes. So we want a video with a sign-up box on the right, 3 boxes underneath, and then add another row. Maybe we want some content there, and then add another row. Maybe we want something else there. Okay? Just for an example. Each row we can edit. We can customize each row. There's edit, duplicate or copy or delete. On the left side, as well as customizing the layout, we've got these little tabs where we can move them. Maybe we want that second. Maybe we want it first. So we can really start to drag and lay out and get an idea of how the site's going to look. Okay? So we can start to say, right, I want this here, I want this there. Normally you'd have either a wireframe to go through, or you would have a PSD or a graphic to use, or a sketch on a napkin, something. You'd have an idea. Build this out first, lay out how the site's going to be. The purpose of doing this is when we make the site smaller, so if we go onto a mobile or something like that, and we make it smaller, what will happen is each row will stack on top of each other, and each element, so this will become the top layer, this will become the second, so this will stack underneath, then this, then this, then this, and they will all stack on top of each other. Rows, then elements. So what we're going to do, we'll add a new image. We could choose video if we want. In fact, let's go for it. Let's do YouTube. Let's do a video. So, okay, probably helps if I have something planned beforehand, but right, oh, sorry, let me just take this. So, right, I've got this video. I'm going to share it, okay? I'm going to share the video. I'm going to go to embed, and I'm going to take the iframe code. I'm going to copy this code here, okay? You can do it on Vimeo. I'm just showing it on YouTube as an example. Put a video in. We're going to go back to our edit page, and we're going to type in video because we want to put a video in. Are you self-hosting it, or is it embedded? Well, as we know, we're embedding. So click embed. What we're now going to do is, it says here, switch to the text editor. So you've got visual and text. So switch to the text editor and do not place anything else here other than your iframe or embed code. That's all it wants. Save. We've now got a video. Update the page. Close that down now. We come back here, refresh the page. We've now got our video in our section once it loads. So now you get the idea. You can see our video. You see how it's done. Okay? And we've still got the space on the right. And I know there's nothing in them yet, but all the other boxes are there still too. So on the right, we want to put inside a text box. And let's just say we want to put in some text. I appreciate I'm not really going into that much detail. I'm just giving you an example. You can get the idea. Now, what's really clever here is we've got some text there. Let's say we want to put another text box in. We can duplicate that. We can also drag that. So we could even duplicate that and put it into here. So now, as you can see, we're really starting to pad this site out. And I appreciate this isn't, how it's going to look, but just to show you for this example, if I now update the site and we refresh, here's some text underneath. We know we've got our 3 boxes, text, 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 and the 2 lines. It's there. Now, let's make it look a bit better because we don't obviously want it to look like that. We can delete those. And this has a lot of features here. There's a lot of things you can go into. I mean, you can use accordions, you can use pricing tables, prompt, promos, callouts, images, sliders. There's so much you can put in here. You really need to play with it. There's also 2 plugins which I use, and I'm just going to put them in to show you because I think they're great. So for the purpose of this, so I go back to my server, go back to WordPress, wasn't it? Yep, sorry, WordPress, WP Content, plugins. Right, let me install 2 new plugins. So I've got in Visual Composer, I bought some bolt-ons. So I'm just going to open up these bolt-ons. I'm going to drag them in. Again, you can see why I'm using localhost, because now if I refresh this page, these are now going to be, I may need to activate them actually. Sorry, let me just activate plugins. But what this basically does in a nutshell is it just gives you some more options. Gives you a lot more options on the element side of things. You can add nice little flip boxes. There's a lot of things that you can do. Yeah, sorry, I need to activate that plugin. It's not going to work yet. And as an example, here is a website that I've built using this framework and this system. So here's one I made earlier, just to give you a quick example. As you can see, we've got the menu, we've got the logo, they've got events, so you can click on here. This is a plugin that we've used for events, and they've got like these little flip boxes that we're building for them. Then they've got a Mailchimp login, and they've got some text. So you get an idea of, you can start to see how it works. The great thing about it is the only real limit is your imagination. You can create whatever you want. You're not limited. With OptimizePress, with Lead Pages, with other programs like that, you're limited to what the program can do. With this, you've got full flexibility. And there's as well, if you go to Visual Composer and you go to add-ons, there's loads of more add-ons. I haven't bought them all. They've just launched a load more. Some are good, some aren't so, but you get the idea. So now if I go back to the page, I go back to the home page. Sorry if this is a little bit slow. Okay, and I go to add a new element now. You can see that as I scroll down, there's now a lot of new ones. So there's all of these, which are the ST ones, and there's also these ones, the flip box, which you just saw on the other site. That's the flip box. counter, which is really cool. So it counts up. So you might have seen it. You can have it pulse, so it counts from a number to a number. So much cool stuff to play with, really is. So that just gives you an idea of what you've got to play with. So that is how you would build out your page. And you can build out all your pages and you can, play with it, and it gives you a great idea of what you can do and how you can build them out. You can also add containers within containers. So look, if I've got a container, and let's say that container is, or this row, sorry, I can now have a row within a row. Okay, I can now start playing. So although this is the actual row itself, sorry, not container, I wanted a row, I can create a new row within a row. So now I can say, all right, so this is half of the page, but I want half again. So now you can really start drilling down and you can really start nesting these elements together. Again, I'm not going to go too far into it, but just to give you an idea of what is possible. Now you've got that, and you've got the idea that that's there. I want to go through a few extra plugins. So I'm just going to stop there. Before I do, on settings, on Visual Composer on the left-hand side, okay, settings, Visual Composer, this will only work for pages as standard. You'll need to choose whether you want it in posts and whether you want it in portfolio, and also who can access it and who can use it. And if you've got any shortcodes, you can map them in as well. You'll need to change that so you can use it if you want to. Guys, I know it's been an hour and I know I've gone through a lot so far. Is there any questions before I carry on? It is being recorded. You will be able to listen back. I know I waffle a lot. I do apologise. Hopefully you're keeping up. If you're not, don't worry. Any questions before I go on to the last section? Will I have a list of the favourite plugins for us to reference? I may write them down. You will be able to see them when you go back through it. I mean, there's some that I use as standard, as you've already seen. I mean, I'm just going to very quickly now go through my plugin list, and I'm just going to tell you, the ones that because I've got some good ones and I've got some bad ones. But there's a few on here that I really like. Advanced custom fields, I love it. It's amazing. It's from a developer's point of view on every single site, so that I can tailor make what I want to give my clients, what they see. Because trust me, they don't see all this. Backup Buddy, I love. Awesome Support's quite good. Count It Round, I wouldn't touch. Don't get that. It's a load of rubbish. Booking System, I don't use. Crazy Egg, I love Crazy Egg for my analytics. I use Google Analytics and I use Crazy Egg. Brilliant. Custom Post Type, I recommend that with advanced custom fields. They're standard for me. Booking System Pro. On the GTEx website that you saw I was on, I showed you a very basic thing. You can go onto their website. Booking System Pro, the developer is brilliant. He's a great guy. In fact, I was on the developer's website. It was when Jarrett got talking, and he has since. Do you remember the pop-up that you saw when you go to? If you go to my website in the bottom corner now, there's a thing called Pure Chat. A great example of this. So I'm in central London at the moment. I've popped into a hotel to do this webinar. I'm out and about a lot. I'm going to Spain on the 9th. I work from wherever I have my laptop. I've got an amazing lifestyle and I've developed it that way. One of the things I've got is when people come to my website, would you like to talk? Put in your name and email. On my iPhone, earlier on today, I was coming out the tube station and I got a ping from Pure Chat and it says, so-and-so is on your website, they want to talk. I logged in, hi, how can I help? And I ended up with a new client because I was there. So just by me being there, by having that little box, it's free, it's called Pure Chat. You can go and have a look at it. That little box got me a client earlier. That come from the developer. I know I digress. That come from the developer who created the Event On series. He's a great guy, and he's there. You go on to his website, Event On. That's there. You click on it. He talks to you. Let me go through a couple more plugins, and then I'll carry on. So Event On, yep, love that. Gravity Forms. I don't use Contact Form 7, although it's free and I've got it and it's there. I use Gravity Forms. Not only do I use it, I've bought all the add-ons, as you can see. I use Stripe, so I use PayPal and Stripe for payments. If you're going to use Stripe, you need to have an SSL certificate, just so that you know. User registration, so people can fill in a form using Gravity Forms. I can either send them to a payment on the form, or I can sign them up as a user. It's brilliant. I love it. So I use Gravity Forms. Kahoot for your support systems is really good. Legal Pages I like, that's quite good. So you can create standard terms of service and policy things like that. So that's quite good. MailChimp for WordPress, I love it. It's brilliant. It's what I create all my forms in. I customize the CSS. Multi-plugin installer. Now, you don't need it if you're doing it this way, but if you're on a website and you want to upload a load of plugins, multi-plugin installer, you can bulk upload 15, 20 plugins off your hard drive straight into a website. It's brilliant. Next-Gen Gallery, don't use it anymore, but it's still quite good. PilotPress Optimize Member, don't really use them anymore. Seed Pro, coming soon Pro, worth buying. Seed Pro, coming soon. So I love this. It goes as standard again on all my websites. And then if we're doing any maintenance or if there's a coming soon page, that goes up. So people don't see a broken site or a site being worked on. So that's really good. Simplibook I don't use. SitePress I don't use. Sliders I don't use. Uber Menu I used to. Mega Menu, Uber Menu. It's very good. I don't tend to use it anymore, but it is very good. Very good for bulking out your menus. Video User Manual. So again, this I love. This is Troy Dean. So you've seen his 2 free plugins. His Google Analytics and his WordPress CMS, which we'll go through in a minute. This is his paid one, Video User Manuals. So what happens is it creates a white label here called Tutorials, or you can call it what you want. It's got over 40 videos, so either you or your clients can go in how to add a post, how to add a page, how to use WordPress SEO by Yoast, how to use WooCommerce, how to add a product. It's all there. If a client comes to me, how do I do this? Go and look on your dashboard. Go and look in your dashboard. I don't deal with that side of it anymore. Any clients are really on a webinar, they'll tell you. My time's really valuable, and I don't want to be dealing with the basics. You can either go on YouTube, go on Google, or go to your own website and use the videos. Visual Composer, as we know, we've been through that. Welcome to WordPress. That's a plugin that I wrote. You don't need that because basically that is white label CMS, but white label CMS is a lot better than mine. WHMCS is a program I use because I have my own servers. That's my CRM system. Woo. So I bought a lot of things by Woo, as you can see. I bought a lot of their products because they're really good for add-ons. WooCommerce, I swear by it. I have a client who uses WooCommerce on my server. It's a standard WordPress site. We built it for him. He's got over 20,000 products. His site loads in 2 seconds. There is no excuse. You don't need Magento. You don't need Shopify. WooCommerce is a phenomenal system. And then another one I really love is WordPress multi-language. So I use that, and obviously I've got a few of the add-ons as well for that to be able to use. So they're the basics for plugins that I use and recommend, and maybe I'll go through a few of them later. Any other questions? I appreciate it was quite long going through that. What do I think on MotoPress? If I'm absolutely honest with you, I've never heard of it. So I couldn't tell you. But I will have a look, and then I'll give you some feedback later. I'm waiting for the advanced stuff. Yeah, Pedro, I appreciate that. Especially e-commerce. Okay, we're getting into that. What would I use a portfolio for? You can use a portfolio for anything. Maybe you want to use it to showcase your work. Maybe you want to showcase your clients' work. You could use it to as a portfolio for yourself, for clients, for anything. So people can go through and they can look at work you've done or things that you've done in the past or people you work with. It could be anything. There's no limit to it. Okay, so now we've got all the basics out of the way. Now let's get into some more advanced stuff, and we can look at how we can play. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create an e-commerce site. So we've got the website. The website's up. We know how to customize a website. We now need to turn it into e-commerce. So the first thing we're going to do is download a new plugin, and we're going to download WooCommerce. Okay, so just going to install this. Again, appreciate I'm doing this live and it might take a few more seconds. Bear with me. .20 minutes, so I'm going to really power through this as quick as I can. As I say, we'll be on till 8:30 GMT tonight, so another 20 minutes. If we go over onto another one, maybe we will, but we'll see how it goes. Do you go shop? No, haven't tried that. there's so many things out there, and look, what I've said before, and I just want to reiterate the point. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It's just what works for me. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, and I use this now because this is a simple way. You've seen now. Now you've got those basics. Can you see how simple it is to put a website up? You know, you might want to create new landing pages. You might want to create new websites. It's so simple now. You've got the basics. Now you've got this foundation to build upon it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I could spend my entire life learning new products, and there's so much out there, and so much of it is really good. And I do tend to look at new stuff when it comes out, but recently I've been caught up with a lot of other things that I'm doing. So mainly waiting for WooCommerce to install. It's what takes up most of my time these days. I'm not going to sing to you while we wait. And I haven't got a Here's one we did earlier, so bear with me a second. Let me just check. I may even have it. I don't know why I would have WooCommerce. No. Interesting. Well, I'm a little bit impatient, so I'm just going to go back and see if it's installed. If that's just that page is hung. Okay, so that's not installed. Let me try it again. Sorry about this. Fun and games. Come on, please. Sitting here bigging up a product saying how great it is, and I can't even install it. Fun and games of working live. So yeah, let's try it a different way. Don't know why that's not installing. I'll do it this way instead. Okay, so while waiting for that, I don't want to waste your time. That's obviously having a bit of a moment. Let's go for a different plugin. So we're going to come back to WooCommerce in a minute. What we'll do for now while we're waiting is I'll go through membership with you. So you may want to lock pages down, and you may want to create websites that have got a lot of content on them. Now, personally, I use a plugin called Wishlist Member, but you have to pay for that. And so for the purpose of this, I'm going to use a free one, which is called S2 Member. S2 Member is brilliant. It works really, really well. It's a great plugin. I just personally prefer Wishlist, but this is still a great plugin to use. So we're going to go for S2 Member. Good, because I thought I had a problem and it was taking too long. Okay, so this is just activating now. Once it sets up, on the left-hand side, we'll see we've now got S2 Member on the left-hand side. So what this basically does, and I won't configure it now, but I'm going to talk you through the configuration of this. Don't worry about the quick start guide. You can look through that in your own time. In general options, what we've basically got here, let's make this a little bit bigger. We can go through each option or each thing that it tells us to do. Like we can auto generate a security key and keep that. If we're local host, which we are, WAMP developers, tells you to put that into your WP config. And there's a lot of other things that we can do. But what we really want to know here is open registration. So do you want to allow people to register or as free subscribers, or have they got to pay? Login registration details. This is where we can start customizing a lot of the logo and a lot of the sign up screen when people log in. The login welcome page, you know, when they log in, what page do they go to? You know, or we're going to redirect them somewhere else. Membership option page. If they're not a member and they land on a page by mistake, where are we going to send them to buy membership? You know, where's going to be that? So it tells you to create these pages. So you would go in and you would create membership options, login page, you know, redirect page. So you've got all of these here. You can then go in and you can start modifying, sorry, not modifying the profiles, it's not the right one. You can start changing the users. So what you can do from here, once you've got all of the details set out, you know, level 0, free subscriber, level 1, so pay level 1. Now, S2 member works two ways. And I'm going to give you because I've only got 15 minutes, I'm going to really go into this deep now. So if I go over your head, just bear with me. All right, you just give a recording and you can go back over it. As a membership level, you can go down. So level 4 member can access 3210, but a level 2 can't access 4. So obviously start on level 1, level 0, level 1, 2, 3, 4. But anyone in level 2 can access 1 and 0. So when you publish content, you basically say to yourself, and let's go to a page, for example. And it doesn't have to be a page, it can be a file, it could be a PDF, it can be anything like that. We add a new page, and let's call it, say for example, it's going to be locked content. So this is members area, yeah, for example. And also don't forget, if you're logged in as an admin, you can see everything. So what I would suggest if you're using Google Chrome is right click and use new incognito window. An incognito window, what this means is this is going to give you a site that's not logged in. So you can have two instances of a website open, one that you're logged into and one that you're not. So for example, now I'm seeing this as an admin, I'm seeing this as the admin, but I would be seeing this as a guest. So if you've got locked content, you can test it that way rather than keep logging in and out. Okay, so now we're here. We can use the page level restriction. What level? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We may want to go deeper than that. So you may have, you know, you start as a bronze member, you get access to level 1. As a silver member, level 2. As a gold member, level 3. As a platinum, level 4. So you get the idea. But there may be stuff within level 2 that you want the red team to see, but you don't want the green team to see, or you don't want the blue team to see. So how do you do that? Well, the great thing is there's things here that's called custom capabilities. So what we can do is we can give a custom capability. And let's say, for example, this is the blue members page, okay? We don't want the red members coming in here. So this is level 1. So you have to pay level 1, and you have to be a blue member to see this area. You can really start to customize this now. You need to remember this word blue for a minute. So let's come back to S2 member where we was. In S2 member, now it's all set up. What we're going to do is we're going to go onto the left-hand side here, and it says PayPal options, PayPal buttons. So the options, obviously, we need to set everything up. So we'll go in and we do that. Account details and put all of that information in. So you need to go through that and create that. When you go to PayPal buttons, you now create a button. And this helps you to do this. So what level access do we want? We want level 1 access. Okay. Custom capability. Remember, this was for the blue team. We'll offer how many days free, you know, so weeks, months, years. If you want to do a free trial, maybe we don't, leave it at 0. Then we're going to charge X amount. We're going to offer it in whatever currency we're going to offer it in. I'm not even going to waste time looking for a Great British Pound, but you get the idea. So we want to charge £10 every month, reoccurring, or it might be a one-off. So we've got all these membership options that we can select, okay? And remember, this is blue. Then we generate the button code, and it gives us this here, okay? This is the WordPress shortcode, okay? So what we would do at this point is we would use this within wherever we're going to use it, okay? If, for example, let's say we're in a page, we've added a new page, and we want to put a button in, okay? We can do that. So this is the members area, but here's a button, okay? Let me just show you the button, for example. And we can customize this and play with this later. And again, I'll go into this in more depth another time. For now, I'm really just trying to give you an overview of this. So now we've got our blue area, which is locked, we can't access it. We've got this button here, we click on it, it will take us through to PayPal, obviously once it's all set up, blah, blah, blah. And then once we've done that, it will redirect us back to whatever the login page is that we've set. You can have a different login page for blue to red to green. You can really go to town with this, and you can customize it as much as you want. You can check out you can do the tracking and things like that. Download options, so you can have S2 Member has its own bucket where you can put files. So if someone goes to the URL /topsecret.pdf, unless they've paid and they're logged in, they can't download it. It's really, really clever, and you can limit the amount of downloads, the amount of people. You can really go to town with how you want to customize this. And this really needs a tutorial all on its own. There is stuff online. Forget time, I will do another one, but definitely look into this as a membership plugin. That's how you'd create your membership pages. Okay, and again, restrictions on pages and custom capabilities. Going back to WooCommerce, now you've looked at the membership side. And by the way, that's really good if you want to create things like Sensei, or you look at programs like that. If you're looking at a CMS system, content management system, this is a really good way where you can create videos and you can create courses and things like that. What I tend to do, or what I've done for my academy, is if you go on a theme forest, there is a theme called Academy, or I would use WooSensei. Depends on what you want and what your needs are. But this is a good way that you can do it for yourself if you want to, and you can create that. Going into WooCommerce, what I'm going to try and do, because of the fun that we had, I'm going to manually chuck it in and upload it. I know we're on 10 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to do this as quickly as I possibly can. So WordPress, WP content, plugins, just unzip this. There is always a way. There's never a problem, just a solution you haven't found yet. We can get rid of that now. We can get rid of that now. Okay, so I'm sorry about that little technical difficulty earlier, but now WooCommerce is installed and we're going to activate it. First thing it's going to tell you to do is to install the WooCommerce pages. Just click yes, it'll do it automatically. If you've got a theme that says it does not support WooCommerce, there's a couple of things you need to do. There's a really good guide. Go to how to convert a theme to WooCommerce, put it into Google. It will tell you what you need to do. Contact me or anyone else in the group. We can help with that. Most themes should have the ability to use WooCommerce. So now that we've got WooCommerce installed, there's certain pages we can now go to that will work. For example, I know I can go to /shop. I also know I've got no products in the shop. There's also /cart, and there's certain things here that are standard with WooCommerce. So what we're going to do quickly is we'll go to products. I'm going to add a new product. And really what you get to do here is not only create the product and create all the stuff that goes with it, but you can actually start, especially if you get some of the plugins that go with this, you can really start to create not just a shop, but a business. For example, when somebody comes to my website and buys a product for me, it's linked into Xero, which I use for my reconciliation. It goes directly to my accountant. So when someone makes a payment, the payment goes into PayPal. PayPal's linked to my bank account. It's withdrawn directly to my bank account, and it's sent off to Xero. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is go out and spend the money. That's it. There are systems you can put in place to make your life easier. And I guess really the point I'm trying to get at here is, don't be sitting there sifting through all your receipts and all your PayPal accounts when there's a plugin out there that's going to cost you a few dollars that will do it for you. I'm trying to find an image and I don't even know if I've got anything here. This is where I could end up looking. You might find one of me in my pants. Hopefully you won't. Let me see. Should have really thought about this before I started and pre-made something. Oh, there we go. Look, I'm just going to use that for now. Just an image. probably an image that's about 35 meg. Okay, yeah, it's quite a big image. Okay, right, so we'll set an SKU code. Every product should have its own SKU code. We'll set a price, what the price is going to be. We can have it whether it's downloadable, virtual. There are other plugins we can go through with this, which I'm not going to be able to do now, I'll have the time to do, but we will go through. But I really, again, want to get into, with WooCommerce, how this can transform your business and how you can integrate Gravity Forms with WooCommerce and how you can use this to basically create anything you want and anything you need. This framework, there's no limit now to what you can do. Create a membership site, create a shopping cart, customize your pages. You know, and I'm gutted because I haven't had a chance to go through a lot of what I want to go through, a lot of these other plugins. But they are self-explanatory and you can find guides from online. So here's your product. You know, again, we had a 3D button. You can choose a flat button if you want, but you get the idea. If I come back to the shop, Pedro, I know you're going to be upset because you wanted some really intense stuff, and I said I'd go advanced and I'd go hard on this. And I know I'm not going to be able to because if you can see the looks I'm getting, I've got 4 minutes to finish up. So this obviously we would need to customize and we would need to change, but this gives you an idea of the shop itself. So this is just one product that we've got here. And again, I would remove this sidebar from here. So what we do is we go into pages, okay? We go into shops, and in the shop, remember that layout where we can change the layout. So for example, if I go into shop now, these are the new pages that obviously have been created through WooCommerce. Here we go down to template, and we're going to go for a full width page, okay? Update that. Now when we come back to the shop and we refresh, this obviously won't be here anymore because this we only really want on a blog article. There is something else I'm going to show you quickly, something else that I want to go through, and that is with the sidebars and the widgets because that's very important. So now you can see we have our product. Why are you still there? Did I update that page? See how I'm doing too much now, right? Bear with me. Sorry. Right. Layout, full width, update. Okay, let that update. Okay, come back, and that now won't have that sidebar there. And you can add your products and you can change it. And obviously, depending on which stack you use, depends how it looks. Now, one of the things I want to show you quickly on here is in appearance, it says sidebars, okay? And that's linked into what's called widgets. So if I click on widgets now, what I want to show you, okay, so this is the main sidebar. So that sidebar that you kept seeing was because of this, okay? We've got all these widgets and things that we can add in and what we can do. In fact, if I just take all of these out and get all of these out of the way, and what I can do is I can say maybe, for example, I want a WooCommerce basket. So in fact, because WordPress has changed now, I can click on that. I want to add it to main sidebar, add widget. Let's go back down. Let's say I want to put recent reviews in the main sidebar, add widget. So I can start to add these in now so that when I do go to my page, and let's go to blog, for example, because that's where it will show up. This is where we would have this section. So if I save these, this main sidebar now, as you can see, we've changed it here. So obviously at the moment there is nothing in a basket and there is no reviews, so it's empty. But that is where that section would show up, and we can change that. Now, if we click on sidebars, because that's obviously your main sidebar, you might want a different sidebar on a different page. So we're going to put sample page. So we've got a sample page sidebar. Okay. Now we can have as many of these as we want. And we can have what pages this is going to work on. So we want it to work on a sample page, okay? So we update the sidebar. on the sample page. So if we come to sample page, let's do this and work it in real time quickly. Okay, so we've got that new sidebar. So if I now go to widgets, as we can see, there's nothing here in the sidebar. But let's say I want to put a calendar and I want to put that into sample page. So the sample page now has a sidebar. Okay, if I come back and refresh that, that will now be the sidebar for the sample page. I should really let it do it before I say it's going to do it, just in case that happens. I had a feeling that'd happen. Okay. But what this basically means is that you can create different sidebars for different pages. You can populate them with the widgets that you want, and then when you come back, they will work on those individual pages. Okay, I need to go back through and with the widget itself, there we go. So now it's in there. So you can see, now this is on sidebar. This won't be on blog, okay? And it just gives you an idea of, again, how flexible you can be on your site. You know, you might want a sign up box, you might want an offer, different things in different places. So it just gives you the possibility to be able to do that. So that's widgets and that's sidebars. Guys, I'm really sorry that I've run out of time. And I've done my best to try and give you as much as I can. I've got a feeling I may have to do another one of these. This is great feedback for me. I want to give you a bit of time at the moment just to ask any questions. I want to spend, if it's all right, 5-10 minutes, just go through any questions, and then I'll put the recording up when I get a chance later on. And maybe if you're happy, I might do another one. I'll see how you feel, because this is, you know, I don't like posting things into the group and trying to spam things or self-promote or do anything like that. So if you feel this has given you value and you want me to go into a specific area and I get the time, then we'll do it. But yeah, guys, girls, I hope that's been okay. I know it's been rushed, but hopefully you can go back over the recording in your own time, and this has given you some insight. Brilliant, Leslie. Thank you. Never thought of using incognito window. I'm not going to put the rest of the comment out because that's quite funny. But yeah, great. It's incognito windows are really good for doing that. I mean, the amount of times I've been working and trying to see that. Sidebars. Okay, Vanessa, great question. Sidebars, is that part of the X theme or is that something you can add? I believe that when you go into the plugins, this is something you can add as a plugin, by the way. But I believe it is something that is set up in Xtheme. Yeah, it is something that's set up in Xtheme, but there is a plugin. I can't remember what it's called. I think it might be called Sidebars. Unlimited Sidebars or something like that. I'll dig it out, I'll find it, and I'll let you know. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there is a plugin that does it. Custom Sidebars, there you go. I think that's, yeah, so look, 4.5. If anything's got a 4 to 5 rating and over 100 ratings, then I consider it to be quite good. So I would tend to go for Custom Sidebars. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Same thing, but yeah, it's on the X theme. Did you try MotoPress? No good information. Who is your target audience for this? Great question, Roy. My target audience for this is I'm going to be running meetup groups in London, and it's for anyone that either has or wants to build a website. So really, you know, if I can help people to get them to, basically, I don't want people to go through pain. And there's a lot of people out there that offer, you know, I can build your website and I can do this. They take your money, you never hear from them. You know, a lot of this stuff, yes, you can do. Maybe you shouldn't do it. You should have people that do it for you. But I just like to give people that information. You know, I want to give people that opportunity to get the best start they can, because I consider this the best framework to build upon. Obviously, you know, it depends. If they've got the budget or someone's got the budget, we can go on a custom bespoke route. If they, you know, want to go for a different theme, then there are great themes out there. But this, I feel, is just best for an overall look. What is a good antivirus plugin to use? What are some more security steps for every website? Great question. Great question. Some really good security steps. Always install WordPress in its individual folder. So, for example, on a URL, on a hosting platform, you'll have public_HTML, and that's where your files will go. And if I show you here as an example on the server, this would be public_HTML. I would always put your WordPress installation in a subfolder. The reason for this is because if I am using a program that can look within your directory, and I find a wp-admin, I can go in and I can start to manipulate your folder. If you're in a subfolder, I'm not going to find it because wp-admin won't exist. It will be in a subfolder. So I always put my websites into a www. I create a folder called www, and then in there, that's where I put my WordPress installation. If you go to WordPress and you go to I think this is WordPress subdirectory, or giving WordPress its own directory. So if you go to giving WordPress its own directory, it will give you a step-by-step, this is how you do it. So that's the link you need, and when you go there, it shows you what you need to do. So there's a few things you need to do. It's not too hard, but it's just need to know that. Other things, never have admin as a username. Don't ever do that, because if you give admin as a username, it's the first thing you check. You know, if I'm going to do a brute force attack on someone's WordPress login, I'll also automatically assume admin. All right, so always make sure you don't have admin as a username. There's other things you can do. The iTheme security plugin is a really good plugin. As for antivirus, if I'm honest with you, I don't use antivirus on my WordPress sites. The reason being is because I have it installed on a server level, and it checks every single file, and I make sure that, you know, I look after my clients from a server level, and I know that I use the best antivirus software there. So I'm not really that concerned on an individual WordPress level. You know, if you're going to get a virus, I'm going to flag it up on my server. So I would say make sure you're on a good server. That's also another thing. If you're on a shared server, you know, if you're paying $1 a month and you're on something like, you know, I don't want to name and shame, but do you know what? I do want to name and shame. And the reason I want to do this is there's a thing called EIG Insurance. EIG Hosting. Just Google EIG Hosting, Endurance International Group. If I can give you one tip, it would be to avoid anyone on this list. Okay, that is, I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to say, if I can give you a tip, avoid anyone on that list, because I've got my own reasons, but that's where the majority of the problems come from. If you're on a shared hoster, the best way I can describe shared hosting very, very briefly, imagine a mosquito, okay? And a mosquito is a virus, like a computer virus. Now imagine you live in a house, okay? If you're on a shared server, that shared server is your house. Every website on that shared server is a window. Every window that's open, there's a chance that mosquito could get in. Do you see what I mean? So the more windows open, the more chance it will get in. The more websites that are on a shared server, the more chance you're going to get a virus. It might not even be your website. So the server, it has to start on server level security. Pedro, thank you very much. Really appreciate your comments. Creative Live took over 3 days to cover most of what I've done. I really appreciate that, Diane. I did catch a bit of that, but I want to give value back. PayPal and creating Gravity Forms memberships, definitely. There's a lot of stuff, and again, affiliate links I didn't get thrown at. Can you use WooCommerce to sell link to affiliate products? Absolutely. I've got WooCommerce sites that are linked into eBay, so you can upload your eBay shop and you can populate your website through eBay. The same with Amazon. You can populate your website through Amazon. You can use affiliate links. So you can, and a great one for that is if you go to WPMU. There's a plugin called Affiliates. It's a great one to use. There's so much that you can do, and affiliates is a great question. It's a great one, and I want to go into that more. Again, for payment processors, I use PayPal and Stripe. Stripe's brilliant, but you need an SSL license to check with your host first. Make sure you can get an SSL license. Stripe won't let you work unless you have that. But it's a great way to take payments, a really simple way to be able to take payments. And just to show you very, very quickly what Stripe looks like. This is something that I'm just building out at the moment. So again, please don't take it too to heart. But this is Stripe. So you click on Stripe. There's an amount, or however you want to do it. Again, we're just building it. That's it. Email, card number, month, year, CCV, pay. It's done. It's easier. You don't leave the website. Nice little pop-up modal. You don't need to go to PayPal or anything like that. Some people just prefer it. So that's just an example of using Stripe. Vanessa, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. I use PHP redirect from the root directory to WordPress homepage. Yep, absolutely, Roy. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, there's so much more I could go into, and I have to be really respectful of my time because I've got a lot going on at the moment. I will do my best to try and get another one of these out for you. I really will. Okay. I appreciate I've gone over it really quickly, but hopefully it's been of really good value to you. So I'll get the recording up. Is there any last questions from anyone? Brilliant. Then for those of you that have stayed and that are still here, thank you. I truly, truly do really appreciate your time. If I could ask for one favor, okay, if you've had great value and great, you've learned something tonight and it's been of good value to you, can you please just give me some kudos on Facebook because my ego really won't stop bugging me about it and it would love the attention. Could you also please just take the time on Facebook just to send me a private message and give me your feedback, as much good or bad, anything constructive, because I need to grow this and I need to learn. If I'm too quick, if I'm not in depth enough, if there's stuff that should be covered, shouldn't be covered, anything that you can give me that will benefit me. That's the real reason I've done this, to give you value, but for myself, so that I know what works, so that when I go and do this live, I know what works and I can get straight to the point. Again, thank you for your time. I'm really, really grateful. Hope you all have an amazing evening and I'll speak to you soon. Where will the recording be? Sorry, great question. I will post it within the WordPress Help and Share group. The only people in this, you guys, I mean, there's 12 of you left here. I think 25 registered. This isn't, I didn't open it up. It's not public. It's nothing else. This is purely for WordPress Help and Share. I've just done it for you guys. So it will go up in that group and I won't put it anywhere else. Guys, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much. Have an amazing evening. I'll speak to you all soon.